Thank you, David. And what I forgot to tell you is I actually did a geography degree, which is why I'm so into our environment. So I'm delighted to be speaking to you here today at this year's Coastal Futures Conference. And we all know that our seas are vital for our survival, and they are facing rapidly accelerating human-driven pressures. Earlier this week, for example, we had the second reading of the Offshore Petroleum Licensing Bill, and I know there are mixed feelings about issuing new oil and gas licenses in the North Sea, but the reality is oil and gas needs to remain part of our energy supply in the coming decades, because despite the drive towards renewable energy, from 7% of our power in 2010 to nearly 50% today, the Independent Climate Change Committee data shows that the UK will still need oil and gas for a significant proportion of our energy needs, even as we reach net zero. And so this means that there must be a balance between oil and gas production for society needs and use and protecting our environment. And balancing the needs of our environment alongside the needs of society requires all stakeholders, especially our marginalised coastal communities, to be involved in decision-making processes and have equal access to resources and opportunities. All of us here know that coastal communities are important to the UK's environmental, social and economic well-being. Coastal communities are also the most vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, with erosion and coastal flooding posing an ever greater threat to both the built and natural environment. Coastal communities have major challenges to overcome, but they have so much potential to unleash if given the opportunity to do so. There have been many similar reports about coastal communities over the years, but no real action. More recently, however, we have witnessed levelling up across the country, and the Levelling Up and Regeneration Act 2023 aims to promote sustainable development and regeneration in various sectors. And whilst it articulates how policy interventions will improve opportunity and boost livelihoods across the country, it does not specifically target coastal communities. So as the APPG, we wrote to the Prime Minister and for a coastal minister and a specific strategy for coastal communities. And as he explained in a letter to us, the government is committed to levelling up the whole of the UK, which requires a broad, cross-departmental and holistic approach, which allows interventions to be efficiently and effectively targeted at places with the greatest need, regardless of where they are. And that levelling up policy does recognise the particular challenges facing certain types of community, such as coastal or seaside towns, which is why coastal communities now tops the list of responsibilities of the Levelling Up Minister. So that is a result. It's a step forward, which is good. We've also seen a number of coastal communities like Hastings and Rother District near me each receive 20 million through Levelling Up partnerships. And Hastings is also going to benefit from the long-term plan for towns, the endowment fund, where it will receive 20 million over 10 years. And the important aspect of both these regeneration projects is because they are designed to provide bespoke, place-based regeneration and, importantly, foster regeneration at the community level, facilitating local people, local communities, to be at the forefront of decision-making and implementation. They are more inclusive funding pots. I chair the APPG for Coastal Communities, a cross-party group which advocates for coastal strategies and aims to establish a framework for policy to help boost coastal communities across the UK. The group is co-secretaried by the Coastal Communities Alliance, the Coastal Partnership Network, and the LGA Coastal SIG. And the LGA Coastal SIG is absolutely vital to coastal communities and to our local authorities who cover coastal communities. Our Secretariat do an excellent job and are very committed to the coastal community cause. And I know that Becky Lofts-MacDonald is here today. Can you wave, Becky? Thank you for all the work you do. As an APPG, we have no funding to commission studies or reports. However, the Coalition for Coastal Agencies, including the Coastal Communities Alliance and the special interest, the SIG and coastal partners, commissioned a report by Pragmatics, Communities on the Edge, Levelling Up Coastal Communities, which was published in January last year, and which, contrary to previous reports commissioned by various governments over the years, looks not only at the current challenges affecting coastal communities, especially after the COVID pandemic, but also at the opportunities available if the right support and focus is given by government. The report highlighted the opportunity to strengthen the Levelling Up framework on the basis that the government needs more granular data for coastal communities to better identify coastal deprivation and areas requiring additional support. In other words, in order for marginalised coastal communities to be fully involved in decision-making, we need better data, and we need long-term funding. Whilst a number of coastal communities have received Levelling Up funding, the Pragmatics report confirmed that as challenges facing coastal communities have developed over years or decades in many cases, these long-term challenges require long-term strategies and, crucially, long-term funding. I also chair, as you've heard, the APPG for the Ocean, and the work of both APPGs is interlinked and, importantly, has ensured that our seas and our coasts have become a focus for both mainstream political parties. Both APPGs are active and hold regular sessions. The APPG for Coastal Communities has held recent inquiry sessions on a variety of topics, including historic coastal landfill, coastal erosion, and a joint briefing with South East Local Enterprise Partnership on deprivation in coastal communities. Just yesterday, our APPG session was on addressing health inequalities in coastal towns through employment. And we'll also be looking at nature-based solutions and coastal adaptation. The APPG for the Ocean has produced 2 reports. Our inaugural inquiry into blue carbon and ocean-based solutions to climate change, which I really champion, resulted in 3 of our recommendations being incorporated into the government's Environment Improvement Plan. And our second inquiry looked into the future of ocean technology. The report has just been published, so do have a look at that, looking at how ocean technology can help mitigate climate change and benefit our ocean and coastal environments and society. I'm delighted that our campaigning has hit home, and the recent government announcement at COP28 that it is putting nature at the heart of climate action. And as chair of the APPG for the Ocean, it's fantastic to witness this government's commitment and funding to marine biodiversity, nature restoration, and the blue economy, all of which will help support our coastal communities. Recovery and restoration of our natural environment is key to strengthening our resilience and adaptation to climate change, protecting our health and well-being, and ensuring food security. Importantly, nature-based solutions to climate change will create a largely untapped source of employment and support for rural and coastal economies. Restoring nature will not only protect jobs in tourism and fishing, but will create new blue jobs in the restoration of nature, leading to further jobs in conservation, monitoring, and research and management of restored ecosystems. The Marine Conservation Society highlights that analysis of restoration programs in the US shows that 15 to 30 jobs are created for every $1 million spent. This does not include the multiplier effect of creating more jobs in the service sector, as a healthier marine environment creates new opportunities in coastal leisure, recreation, and tourism. Blue job creation will have a knock-on benefits to our coastal communities in terms of higher tax revenues, increase in property values, and more recreational spending. All in all, the Marine Conservation Society states that considering all socio-economic benefits, nature restoration provides a 10-fold increase on investment, and that's pretty good. And nature restoration, of course, will also help with flooding and coastal erosion. I've long argued that with the right support and focus, our coastal communities, like my constituency of beautiful Hastings and Rye, can unleash their potential and rather be a problem to solve. We can become a resource to the UK and can contribute even more. We can focus, for example, and I think you'll be hearing this later, on green and blue economies, on the marine environment and infrastructure, our fishing industries, where changing preferences for sustainable fishing provides real opportunities, especially in Hastings and Rye, and our visitor economy. Our coastal communities need a voice, and the APPG for Coastal Communities provides this. Last year was Year of the Coast, but it's still important to continue championing our coastal communities, and the APPG hosted an event in October launching the Pledge for the Coast campaign, developed through collaboration between the One Coast Coalition and partners. The Pledge for the Coast is an opportunity for everyone across the UK to make a commitment to support our coastline through a choice of pledges, engagement through volunteer activities, reducing the skills gap, or committing to their own pledge, for example. So I would urge you to have a look at it, sign up to do your own pledge for the coast, and also urge you to lobby your own coastal MPs to pledge to join the APPG for Coastal Communities so that we can continue to highlight the challenges and the opportunities of our amazing coastal communities. Thank you.